What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm James and this is Clearwater Fishing, and today we're talking about a very unique subject, and that is Mega 360 versus Livescope perspective, and then later on we're going to talk about Livescope forward and which one you should invest in depending on what style of fishing you do. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I do all sorts of fishing related videos, from fishing technology to how to catch fish to even specific bait reviews and technology reviews. So make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. So the first subject we're going to talk about today is the Mega 360. The Mega 360 is simply an SI unit that rotates around and gathers data. You can have it gather data faster, where it rotates faster, but your quality of image will be much less. And you can have it rotate slower, and you'll have a greater quality of image, but you're not going to have as fast of a refresh rate. Now that we have a general understanding of kind of what we're talking about, let's look at it from an underwater perspective and show you exactly what we're viewing. All right, let's just go ahead and bring in our boat here. With Mega 360, we're just going to talk about the one line of 360. You actually have one going in one direction, and then you have one going in the opposite direction, giving you 360 degrees of view. But we're just going to talk about one for now. So I'm going to pop up an image of what you would see on 360 up here in the corner, and I want to show you exactly how to decipher this graph. And going from the center through the black screen and all the way to your first bit of bottom, that is the water column. And I'll show you guys here, right here, there's the water column as well. And that's the first part that you're seeing. And then as you continue on this line, you're actually seeing the structure and the things on the bottom between your transducer and your bottom. So anything that's caught up in between is going to depict a shadow onto the bottom. So obviously the bigger the shadow, the closer that object is to you. And the smaller the shadow, the further away and closer to the bottom that shadow is. And remember, this transducer is spinning, and you're able to collect data while it's spinning. So you're actually collecting, for every revolution, you're actually refreshing the entire screen twice. So real quickly, we're going to end up with the advantages and disadvantages of 360. The first advantage here is you end up with a view of 360 degrees around you, so it includes behind you as well. So if you miss a piece of structure behind you, you can locate it over there. The second piece here is that it is easy to locate your structure. So if it says it's at 20 degrees, well, it's easy to make that cast at 20 degrees and be right on top of that structure. So the last advantage is that it automatically refreshes. So as it's spinning and collecting more data, you're out there fishing, and then as you're getting toward the end of your last cast, you can look down and find yourself another target that it just located for you. A couple disadvantages with the Mega 360 is one, that you could be looking at some older data. It is not a live image, and you depend on the speed of its rotation to how fast it refreshes that data for you. Also, the image being portrayed as a circle, you really need a larger screen to depict the image properly, which isn't too big of a deal, but since larger screens cost a lot more money, it might be a big deal. The next technology we're going to talk about is Livescope perspective, which is probably viewed as the closest competitor to Mega 360 to date. So if you're unfamiliar with Livescope, it is typically used in a forward or a down view image. And that's typically just in a vertical position. For perspective mode, you need a special mount, which costs about $100, and it turns the transducer sideways and angles it up and shines like a flashlight in an area in front of you. So typically Livescope provides a 135 degree angle this way, or down under the boat. But in this way, it actually provides a 150 degree angle of view by 20 degrees. So I'm going to show you guys an underwater view of it and kind of give you an idea of what exactly you're viewing on the bottom. So let's bring our boat back in, and let's just shine a beam down, relatively like what perspective mode would look like. Well, here we go. As you can tell, you're not getting the full coverage that Mega 360 provided. you're only getting a flashlight type view of a area, and that is because of the 20-degree angle that Livescope provides. Now let's take a little bit more of a different view. Let's take a top view, and you can see if you have this thing attached to your trolling motor, you can definitely use it like it's a flashlight and shine it around in different areas to identify structure, fish, and other targets. I did want to point out when you are in shallower depths, you're actually getting less viewing area than you do at deeper depths, which is kind of a little bit of a disadvantage, but you are getting images that are closer to you when you're fishing shallower water. So one of the clear-cut advantages using Livescope perspective is that you're going to get a real-time view of that area. You're not going to have any delay in waiting on a transducer to sweep by again. It is there for you to view at that point in time. The next advantage is that it does work very well with 7 and 9 inch screens. You don't need a very large screen to depict the image greatly, but it does help. The third advantage with Livescope is that you also get the forward view and the down view positions as well. So you have 3 different modes that you can use this transducer in, and that provides a lot of opportunity to catch fish. So a couple of the disadvantages, one of them I've already kind of hit on a little bit, is that you get a limited viewing area. You don't get a complete and total view like you do the Mega 360. So if you're looking for something that maybe have already passed, you're not going to be able to find it because it's going to be behind you. And the other disadvantage, which I'm kind of on the edge for, I don't really know if it's really considered a disadvantage completely, but you may have a harder time finding your specific targets because of how it mounts to the trolling motor head versus how it depicts that data on your fish finder. Obviously, if you're pointed directly at a piece of structure that you want to fish, it's pretty easy to target it. If you're using something like Spot Lock, you're not really going to be able to find that target really easy. So the next piece of technology is just another continuation of Livescope. As I talked about before, we had the perspective mode. Now we're going to look at it in forward mode. So the transducer will be mounted in a vertical position and aimed forward. Like I mentioned earlier, this will give us 135 degrees of view in this direction, and you'll get 20 degrees of view in this direction. If you didn't quite understand what I was saying there, let's get a side view and a top view from my animations. Let's bring the boat right back in here and let's check out this side view of what you're going to be able to see with Livescope, as you have a view of essentially everything forward and a little bit backwards. But let's take a little peek from the top and let's see what we're missing. Let's bring our boat back one more time from the top, and now you can see we have a narrow angle viewing. So it's really great for pointing out specific pieces of structure or specific fish, but not so good at looking at a broad view in front of you, unless you're going to be doing sweeps from the left to the right. But it takes time for you to sweep it and then comprehend what you're looking at. So as a little helpful tip from me to you, for every 10 foot of depth on Livescope, you're going to get about 3.5 feet of view across. So it really does help you pinpoint where your lure is. So if you're fishing in 30 feet of water, you're going to be looking at an area on the bottom about 10.5 foot wide. It's just easy multiplication. So every 10 foot, you get 3.5 foot. So if you got 3 10 foots, 3 times 3.5 is 10.5. I see people mess this up a lot, so trust me, it is 3.5 foot across. Let's talk about a few advantages that Livescope's forward view has over the other two that we've talked about. The first thing is it still gives you a live view of what's in front of you. The next advantage is that it is very easy to pinpoint that structure due to that narrow viewing angle. This is kind of where the term video game fishing came from, is from forward view and using it on crappie. And the last advantage I'm going to talk about for the Livescope's forward view is that you get a complete water column view in front of you. So you're not missing anything that's out in front. If there's a school of shad out in front of you that's 5 foot deep and they're like 20 yards away, you're going to be able to see that on your Livescope unit. Now that we've talked about the advantages, let's talk about a couple of the disadvantages of Livescope's forward view. The first one is that since you have the narrow viewing angle, in order to see everything out in front of you, you have to do sweeps to see what's going on. And the next disadvantage is that it really doesn't work very well in shallow water. It gets a lot of distortion and lots of feedback interference. So which one of these three is best for you? Well, it really depends on the type of fishing you really want to do. The Mega 360 is great for people who go down the bank, look for laydowns, looks for underwater structure, and just looks for casting targets all the time. It's not going to do that great at finding in particular fish, but you're going to be able to find structure and cover really easy and find those targets to cast at. Perspective mode of Livescope kind of has the same features, except for you're going to get a live view and you're going to be able to see those active fish moving around. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be able to see the entire view, because you're going to have a limited perspective of what's in front of you or what's toward the bank. And Livescope's forward view provides a great pinpoint accuracy to finding a specific piece of structure and making those casts to it. It also provides great detail of water columns out in front of you, which is excellent for crappie fishing or following around schools. It also provides a little bit of detail of what's going on behind you, so if you missed a piece of structure, you can always turn back around and get to it. Between these three technologies, Livescope, you get 2-in-1 there. If you buy the perspective mount, you're able to do the perspective mode. You can even do the down mode, which we didn't talk about in this video, or the forward mode. Where Mega 360 is only limited to what I showed you earlier, is the rotating side imaging unit. And it does have its benefits, so don't knock it down yet. It's really a debate on whether or not what you want to do in your fishing styles. Mega 360 is not that great at crappie fishing, but Livescope is. But Mega 360 is probably targeted more to bass fishing than Livescope is. But both can be used in either situation. It's just whether or not you're going to take the time to learn how to use it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. And just like always, until next time, get out there and go catch you some fish.